Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm
and
Amabel.
welcome back to Total War Warhammer 3. Amabel goes to Forex school about that thing that I just said. Where today I think we're murdering Serena Katerin, right? This is
All right.
this
Yep.
is the
That was the
this is the
plan.
moment. This is the time. So it's
Do it.
gonna be a tricky fight. I think there's gonna be some difficulty here,
Do it.
but her troops are tired. Her army composition is kind of whack. Like, she lost a lot of her real units. I will say that just a whole bunch of guys on horses, not really good against, like, horse archers or something would actually be kind of a problem for us. But just a whole bunch of, like, light cav is going to be fantastically bad against our army composition. And then,
Okay.
they got frostworms or whatever. These
Yeah.
war sleds, these are guys in sleds with rifles. So this is bad. These units of war sleds are probably actually going to be very annoying for us. But the rest of this army, I'm not too scared of. Serena Katerin herself is quite a threat. So let's just make sure we're aware of what we're talking about here. She is a largely armor piercing, 58 attack, 45 health, nearly 10,000 HP unit, who is a spellcaster, and you'll notice she is entity size large because she is riding a dragon.
Got it.
So that's problematic. Our Black Orc Big Boss has really good combat stats and is quite a powerful combatant, but he certainly isn't riding a dragon, and he has half as much HP. The good news is all of the Black Orc Biggins have anti-large, but yeah, the number of dragon type units that we're gonna have to fight here is a little upsetting. So before we get into battle, let's try to first of all optimize for our victory here.
Okay.
We currently have 20 units in the army, which is the most you can carry. By the way, we're doing real well on our reputation now, having won a couple of battles against the settlement. Killing Serena Katerin is going to be great for our reputation. That's going to speed us toward the next WOG in a big way. Our units aren't actually full here, so one thing we can do, because recruiting regiments of renown is instant, we can fold together a couple of our units here, and then here I'm just gonna mash these together. I think so. This is 5 halves of a unit, basically. I'm trying to think how much mashing do I want to do here. I want to combine some of these down to open up a slot in our army, and then we're just gonna put the wolves in that slot because it's just adding bodies to the army, right? We certainly don't want to give her a turn to come out of march mode or do anything else.
No.
This is worth doing since we can do it immediately. I guess let me jam these 3 down into 2 units. There we go. And then we'll grab our moon howlers for free. Not for free, sorry, they do cost money, but temporally they're for free. We also have 360 units of scrap and some ability to pursue scrap upgrades. So I think we can't scrap upgrade the characters, right? No, we can't. We don't have the technology to scrap upgrade our Black Orcs. We could throw some upgrades on the trolls, just a little bit of basic melee attack. Trolls do not have great attack. A lot of their value in combat is that they're tougher than a lot of the other orc units. They just kind of stand there and regenerate.
Okay.
We could armor and speed up the snake archers. I don't know how valuable that's really going to be. We could certainly apply some bonuses to the orc boar boys. We have enough metal, depending on what we wanted to do here. So if we want to just give them better blades, 15% bonus weapon strength, we could apply better blades to all of our biggins, for sure. We could give them basic shielding. And in addition, some pretty good armor. Well, I guess we only have 5 units of biggins now. So actually, we do have the scrap to do that to everybody. Or we could give them wizardly weapons, which makes their weapons deal... oh, interesting. Increases power recharge. This is not what I was expecting this to do. It does give them some more armor-piercing weapon damage, which is part of what I was expecting. But it also increases our recharge rate. We're still not really... we don't have really the good spells to take advantage of that. Is one thing. So I'm a little less concerned about that. I'm kind of thinking maybe if we were to gas up all of our biggins with the missile block chance and the armor, that might be a reasonable thing to do here. I want to look at one other thing on our Lord real quick. I want to make sure our equipment and stuff is right. Yeah, okay. So we do have access to a Crown of Command, which allows us to make an allied unit briefly unbreakable. I think we're going to keep our collection of magic items for the moment. We don't have any more ancillaries to equip. Yeah, I guess we do not have a lot of juice left over here. You know, we're not going to be able to improve things very much. Let's get these biggins some toughness. So this is 6 points of bonus armor piercing damage. Wizardly weapons. Right now they're dealing against normal units 32 base, 14 armor piercing, with an extra 8 armor piercing against large. I believe the damage that comes from type bonuses is always armor piercing. I might be wrong about that.
Okay.
That's as soon as that comes out of my mouth, I'm less confident about it. So we'll see.
All right.
We do not have enough. Yeah, we don't have enough metal to do the other thing. But let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and scrap armor all of these dudes, because they're going to be critically important in taking down the worms and the wyverns and whatnot, and just like surviving until they get to that point is going to be important. That leaves us with 86. Do we want to juice up anybody else before the fight? Plus 15 weapon strength on you is... I mean, it's not nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, Bone Basha, you know what? Just break stuff. It's cool and good to break stuff. All right, I think that's as ready as the army's getting. I think that's as much as we can apply. We moved Varag already. Varag can't contribute. All right, let's go get him. I'm a little nervous about this. And if this goes, to be clear, if this goes badly, it does not bode terribly ill. Oh, okay, they'd give it to us on an auto-resolve even. We're obviously going to take the manual here. So I'm going to try not to lose all these units. But
now, if you did a lightning strike... Oh. Well, yeah, I forgot what the lightning strike option does. I was asking.
So we would have had the ability for all of our units to start the battle tired in exchange for there to be no reinforcements on either side. Well, there are no reinforcements on either side currently, so the units that are in the garrison of a settlement that you are already in start on the battlefield along with the army's units. Gotcha. It would not have cut off the
Okay. Well, I have a question while it's loading / you're doing your deployment. So I've been playing one of the other Total War games. I noticed that I have to keep track of like 6 different kinds of resources, whereas this one you have money and scrap.
Yes. Okay.
And do you think it is simpler just to make it more accessible to more people in this form, the Warhammer being more accessible in the historical stuff?
I mean, do you think the game overall is simpler?
No, I mean, no, not necessarily. Overall, no. I think they're complicated in different ways. I guess there are trade-offs. I suppose. There's no magic in the Egyptian one so far. I haven't unlocked
Right,
that.
and you don't probably need to be familiar with nearly as many different kinds of creatures and things, right? Like your units and your opponent's units are probably more similar, and
Oh, those dragons are.
so
Okay.
these
Those
are
dragons
frost
are
worms, not dragons.
Yeah.
Worth pointing out, not
Right.
dragons.
Because look how full themselves there are. To be a dragon, you have to be strong, humble, never bragging.
Okay. They have 75 move speed. They're pretty fast. They're pretty good cavalry charge. These light war sleds have 75 move speed. They are bear drawn, and like I said, you can see guys with those rifles that are axes. They have a lot of, from the settlement garrison, a lot of these just basic Kossars. We've been fighting these guys like in the garrison of Fort Jakova. We know all about these dudes. They have a lot of units of Kossovite dervishes, just guy with sword on horse. You can see here, 32 attack, 32 defense, 40 charge bonus. Pretty good charging cavalry. Very fast. They can deploy forward. The snow leopard.
It's just a wolf.
The snow leopard is pretty
Oh,
scary. 100 move speed, so it's way faster than most of the other things here. It hits extremely hard. Massive bonus versus large. It frostbites units that it comes into contact with. It has great combat stats. Does not have a lot of total health. Pretty easy to kill, usually via not a lot of armor, but it does have some raw, like 20% raw physical damage resistance. Usually what you do is you kill these via mass ranged fire before they get close. That's not a thing we can really do. However, it is a large unit. So in combat with our biggins, we're hoping they'll just rip it apart. And then over here we've got the problem herself. Oh, that's another frostworm. Where the hell's Katerin? Katerin's over here. Sorry, I zoomed right past her. Okay, so wait a minute. Maybe she's not riding a dragon. She's riding a frostworm. Okay, that's a little bit less scary. The fact that she can't fly actually makes this battle a little bit more doable. She does have a throne made of frost molded into the back of that dragon. Although this is worms. That's something. And we can just take a quick look at her, the kinds of spells she has real fast. So, big ice explosion, big ice breath weapon kind of thing. She can, create a big ice field on the ground that makes everybody bad at changing directions and stuff. It's a lot of Sub-Zero shit.
Yeah.
She can put a unit in a crystal sanctuary, giving them massive damage resistance, but they can't move because they're encased in ice.
The only Mortal Kombat game I played was that one where you can only play as Sub-Zero.
Hey, you should speak up.
I said the only Mortal Kombat game I played was that one where you can only play as Sub-Zero.
That's fucked. All right, so we are going to want to obviously take advantage of our rock lobbers here. We're not in a terrible place with them right now. You can see we're just able to fire into the distance. We are the attacking army, but obviously it behooves us to work based on these lobbers. I'm gonna just spread the biggins out. Sorry, I'm gonna grab all the biggins and kind of spread the biggins out in front of the rock lobbers. With
Makes
the
sense.
shields, and the greater armor. Like, I don't really love the idea of the biggins as the troops who receive the charge, but somebody's got to receive the charge. We got to make sure that our catapults don't get Kossovite.
Yeah.
There cannot be dervishes up in the catapults. That's pretty important. I'm gonna put my own cav kind of behind. We're gonna create like a sandwich here. A little bit of depth to make it clear that there is no charging these catapults. And like, this is kind of my plan. The black orcs are in the trees nearby. They're stealthed. And then we just shoot catapults at them until they get close enough, and then we pray a lot. Pray and murder.
All right. Pray and murder.
We still have access to the same couple of crummy spells that we've had access to for a while.
Yeah.
But obviously the catapults...
To get better spells, you have to complete a quest, right?
Well, I gotta level up Azhag is what I gotta do.
Okay.
And that's totally gonna happen here.
Okay.
Start working on these guys. So you can see they're starting to break the war sleds off to the side.
Yeah, they're trying to come along at your flank, I think.
Yeah, seems like. Actually, for now, they're just kind of cycling. I'm not really sure what they're doing.
You know what the war sleds remind me of?
What's that?
The Battle of Karus.
Sure, yeah.
The
I was
Battle
just
of Karus
thinking
was
that.
fought between the Livonian Order, which was like a sub-order of the Teutonic Knights.
You love talking about the
and some
Livonian
peasants.
Order. I don't think I've ever heard anybody bring up the Livonian Order before I met you, but I know I've heard you talk about the Livonian Order so many times. So it looks like we're about to these Customite dervishes are coming forward on this front, and they might blunder into our black orcs. If they blunder into the black orcs in the trees where they can't easily back out, the black orcs will just consume them in close combat.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be okay, I think. That would be an alright way for that to work out. Here's like the dangerous part is these light war sleds get to the edge of shooting range and then they just start picking at us. What are we gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have anything that's as fast as them. We kind of just have to let them. They have limited ammunition and our plan is to absorb all of it. Ranged units, you know?
Yeah. So the Livonian Order were like armored knights, and you had a bunch of these peasants that they caught on a frozen lake. And what the peasants did, they took their sleds and made barricades out of them, and then used that to pick off the knights as they charged the sleds. And that's how a bunch of untrained peasantry defeated these bunch of mucky mucks.
All right, this should be pretty bad for them. They're not going to be able to get a clean charge in the forest, so they're not going to get their big charge bonus. Their support war sleds are firing into trees, which is bad for them, and we're going to be able to do a little wrap around here and hopefully, like I said, just kind of consume them. So I'm opening up this side of the trap a little bit. I no longer feel like it's likely we're going to get a sweep around to the catapults from here. The catapults, by the way, doing some good work on these units. We are starting to absorb enemy ranged, and we have to make a decision now about whether we are charging forward or not. My feeling is I'm going to let the monsters come forward because I don't think they're going to stop. I think their ranged units are going to stop here and pick at us from a distance. I think their monsters are going to keep walking forward, and I think we need to mob the monsters while our anti-large troops are still healthy and try to bring them down fast.
That makes sense.
Here's hoping that it does. On this side, however, I wonder. So how fast is... Snide on his boar is 70 speed. He will outrun a war sled. Yeah, just barely, though. He won't be able to outrun dervishes. Yeah, he's not really a cavalry unit. He's like a very fast, heavy infantry unit. All right, come on, y'all. This is my... I was trying to bring cavalry around to prevent them from getting out. It's getting a little messy over here. Ooh, if we could actually... Hold on, those war sleds are getting close enough that we might be able to grab them. And if we can grab them, that's fantastic. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a pain in the ass about this battle engine is that it's... you can issue, in theory, a multi-part movement order, like click, shift, click, and it does this, like, it lets you do this thing. The problem is there's a bug, and there has been for some time, and I can't believe they haven't fixed it yet, where if you issue a multi-part movement order where the last part is charge into battle, your unit they'll get to the last normal movement point, and they'll just stop there. They won't execute the last bit. So if you're wondering why I stay like hyper focused on these units instead of giving them the full order that I want to give them, that's why. It's because you can't actually complete contact with the enemy off of the...
Okay, yeah, that's a weird bug.
It's not a weird bug, but it is an unforgivable not to fix bug.
I mean, that's the part that's weird about it.
I see what you mean.
Is that it hasn't been fixed.
All right, maybe we should go to them actually. Maybe we
is that particular to Total War Warhammer 3, or has that been throughout the series? Of the Warhammer.
You know, I don't know. So you'll notice they're keeping Caterin back a little bit. I don't think that's unreasonable. They are casting big mean spells on us, so we probably ought to make a move. I'm gonna charge the Frostworms. Let's hope this doesn't end up costing us very much. The trolls. I think I'm gonna charge my trolls forward into their trees over here. If we can get the trolls out of a place where they're taking a lot of ranged fire, obviously we can rely on regeneration to some extent to keep us in the fight. So here's my unit of poison archers for fucking up people's stats. I'm gonna roll them up a little bit because I do want to keep them. Basically, we want to be raining poison arrows down on the dragons while they're fighting the biggins, just to keep their stats kind of fucked. I'm gonna have Azhag commit over here. We're gonna see if we can't accelerate this with his various auras and whatnot. And speaking of critical auras, where are you going? I mean, he's got to kind of just go into this melee with the biggins. Somebody's got to provide bonuses for the biggins. That's my thinking there. You can see the catapults are doing fine work here. I'm not sure if I want to... We have a pretty decent grouping of enemies there. Why don't we turn and try to focus on that? All right, so everybody in the pool is the order now. Get him, Azhag. And the worms are pulling off in a way that I wasn't expecting. Let's reposition the poison arrows. I guess one thing I'm doing with this order, which I'm not wild about, is if they're breaking to the side like that, then all of a sudden, yeah, you need to turn this way. Let me pull a unit of biggins back this way. All of a sudden, I'm leaving the flank of the rock lobbers completely unprotected. At the very least, we need to keep one unit of biggins back here. You guys might have to go for the snow leopard instead. But this shit's happening. So we want you in charging mode, and you can see some of the enemy units are already considering breaking. Actually, go after those dudes. But you go after those dudes. You go after those dudes. You at this point can just charge directly, as directly as possible. They will follow a charge order if it's, you know, direct like that. If it's their only order. Do we have... No, we are nowhere near range to cast that spell on her, but I can throw up some magic on... Well, my whole army is already immune to fear, and the dragons, I assume, are... Yeah, dragons cause fear and terror. Or the worms, rather. That's just kind of how they get down. So, it doesn't really make sense to cast a lot of magic here. I guess I'll cast, you know what? Spirit Leeching a Frostworm is totally reasonable. This is a spell for dealing damage to large single entities. Alright, they sent one of the worms after Azhag specifically. Ah, they used that war... They used that thing to get this war sled into the catapults. That's really annoying. Well, there's probably nothing we can do about that realistically. We are going to not have catapults anymore in a second here. So let's try to make sure that we get fire where it matters while it matters. Alright, trolls are fucking up these horses. You can see a lot of their units are taking a lot of damage very quickly. This is going to be a sort of battle of glass cannons in a lot of ways. All right, murders. Murders, and then there's the wog. Now we're feeling strong.
Now we're extra murder.
Now we're extra murder. Let's get rid of those guys. We beat back a Frostworm. Moon Howlers. So yeah, we broke this front. This is no big surprise. The place where the Black Orcs were, the Black Orcs did the thing we wanted them to do. Now we need our Black Orcs and our great big combat lord. Shoot a fuck you parting fireball, and then let's get back to the battle. Pretty good. Hit him right in the ass.
Yeah.
Actually, turn around and get those guys. We got warriors rallying on the edges of the battle. What are you? You're Spider Rider archers. Go shoot poison arrows at those guys. Your rock lobbers. Are your catapults still in pieces? Yeah. Your catapults are still fine. Go get them. The Black Orcs did manage to get these guys off the war sleds. Or they did manage to get the war sleds off of the catapult crew pretty quickly, so we got a lot of breakage going on here. Actually, their units are not holding up nearly as well as I thought they were going to. You can see a lot of like fucked up morale, a lot of people breaking and panicking, and part of that is just the raw damage output of this Biggins based composition. Oh, they're running. Cowardice.
They said skedaddle. That's so good.
They do, they do. They skedaddle. Okay, here we go. Katarin's uncertain. She might be coming into the battle. She's thinking about it. Spirit Leech her as soon as she's close enough. Yep, and we're gonna wrap her up in Biggins from both sides. Look at this. Alright, you two go fuck those up. Are you close enough? Okay, the leopards come back for seconds. Do we have... So these war sleds are just about done. We have units back here that are in pretty good shape. That they like. This is one thing that's kind of cool about orc and Skaven units in particular, is because they're so cowardly. because
Right.
they break at such a high level of health, they recover, and you're like, oh, these guys can totally still fight. Like, let's fucking get back in there, friends. Alright, this unit chased an enemy off the map and shall return to combat. Make sure those war sleds don't recur on us. Anybody who can reach their siege weapon cruiser in shambles. Need you to get back to the battle. You guys don't need to chase that. Never mind that thing I told you to do. We have different people coming up to chase that. But obviously, at this point, like, finishing off Katarina would end the battle. All of their units are kind of wavery and slick with their own blood, and if they see Katarina fall off that worm, they're all going home.
You know what I don't like the word is slick. I don't like the word slick. Feels gross.
Well, I apologize for that.
Well, that's not your fault.
I mean, it's my fault I used it.
It's their fault.
It's their fault for allowing their lord to be slick with her own blood. I'll say that. I would consider that to be a foul in battle. We continue to drain her health. Y'all just chomp up that dragon. Oh wait, you guys are... Sorry, you're not at your siege gear. I misread a situation there. Get over here and get on the weapons, you fucking idiots. Also, why is there a single... Can you please handle this? Okay. So we've defeated we've re-defeated the Frostworm. It came back in. It took a little bit of damage. It was like, oh right, I was running for a reason. See, look at this. Now their cowardly lord is running in archers to her melee defense, just to try to keep my troops off of her. It's embarrassing, is what it is.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll chomp up some archers. Here come the trolls. Continue to spirit leech her whenever it comes off cooldown. This is going to be pretty bad for her. I'm going to disengage this guy because we can be using him to harass ranged units and stuff instead. Alright, so Katarina is trapped between our lord and trolls and black orcs. Damn, look at how far back he knocked those guys when he charged here. Yep, and Katarina's health is falling rapidly.
Yeah. I think you've done a very good job here, sweetheart.
Thank you. I think that felt really messy, but I kind of knew it was going to be. Yeah, a lot of permanent breakages, a lot of cowardice. A lot of cowardice on the part of these humans. Right, let me get my ranged units. Or let me get my cavalry units here. My reasonable ranged units as well. Let's make sure Katarina does not survive this battle. Y'all, do not let that worm through. Well, okay, it does kind of... It's sort of big. The non-cavalry units, can you please just get out of the way? He's never going to be within range to cast that on her. We might not be able to stop her from getting off the table. Here comes my cav. So let's see here. She's running away currently at 51 speed. Snide is a little faster than she is. We're getting close to the edge of the battlefield. The poison's hitting. Get her! Alright, we're taking chunks out. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get there.
This bad. This bad.
You can see that line of white there. That's the edge of the battlefield. Swing your axe one more time. Yeah, there we go.
You got it.
All right, that's excellent news.
What a nail!
So she's off the table for 5 turns or whatever. She probably has the toughness skill. She's off the table for probably realistically 3 to 4 turns.
Okay, but she lost a whole. Those are some pretty lopsided losses.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind, I'm trying to win that battle. I'm not just trying to win that battle. I'm trying to win that battle in a way where none of our units are meaningfully eliminated.
Yeah.
I do think the extra toughness, the scrap upgrades were absolutely critical. I think the extra toughness and particularly the shielding on the biggins was a big deal there.
I mean, the way you seem to approach these battles, from what I see from this and from the other episodes of Forex School, it's very McClellan.
Is it?
Like,
I have no knowledge of real world military anything.
McClellan was the initial commander of the Union forces during the American Civil War, and he was very careful about preserving his army. Mm-hmm. And to the degree in which he almost never attacked when he could avoid it. He was always worried that there were many more enemy troops than there actually were. So he kind of was very careful about when he chose battle.
Okay, it sounds to me like you're sort of gently, just sort of backhandedly calling me a coward.
But I mean, the results that you have is that you have a lot of units left.
Yeah.
So you're able to fight the next battle. You're doing a better job than McClellan. I don't think he was a very good general, but he was someone.
Okay. So because of my lack of real world military knowledge, I did not immediately perceive the insult, the dagger veiled in this statement.
It's not necessarily an insult, because what I'm saying is you prioritize maintaining your army and not letting your people get slaughtered unnecessarily, which maybe militarily is a bad idea, but morally I think is good.
Okay, well, can I tell you where it actually comes from? First of all, militarily, troops fight better when they're alive. That's just actually true. Secondly, wars are... I don't want to overstate this, but my sort of very thin understanding of military history is that war is largely a matter of economics.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm coming from. Burnt resources,
right.
I approach war in terms of these troops, in addition to being humans or people that we want to survive, are I don't want to have to spend the time and resources building new troops. We get reinforcements for free in this game, as long as you have a container to pour those reinforcements into, right? The unit represents an infinitely refillable resource as long as you never let it hit 0.
Right. Yeah, and I will say one thing I wish that this game did have more is stuff about. I guess maybe it does, about like damaging their economic ability to wage war.
Yeah. It does. Like taking settlements is essentially that. And
Yeah.
you can like lightning, do raids into enemy territory where you just sack a village, and doing so damages all the buildings inside. It lowers all their buildings by 1 level, I believe, which damages their economics and their troop production in the medium term. But yeah, so this is what happened. We captured some enemies. We got 4,500 money, which we're overjoyed. I'm going to spend all of this immediately. 53 scrap, which is pretty cool. We also stole a scroll of leeching, which lowers the power recharge rate of your opponent. Apparently, this is a thing Katerin had and was probably using on us throughout that battle, and we're just not magically attuned enough to have even noticed it. But she doesn't have any more. Now it's mine. So, Vitevo's an interesting thing because we don't actually benefit from owning this in a direct sense. This is not, I think, one of our objective territories. However, we do have, like, this is one of our objective territories, and we have objective territories. Like, I think we want to take this and hold it, even though it's kind of a weird
staging
ground.
Like
for staging reasons, even though it's a weird sort of middle of the plains, very attackable sort of place. And then we didn't get to see this before because I kept getting Azhag wounded, but whenever a legendary lord leads an army that defeats another legendary lord, they get a trait based on the lord that they defeated. So, though she was as mighty as Khan Queen Miska, that didn't stop Kislev's current Ice Queen from suffering at the hands of her opponent. For defeating Tsarina Katerin, we have become an Ice Load Crusher, which gives us frostbite attacks on Azhag, and Azhag causes terror when we're fighting against Kislev. It's already going to be the case that Azhag causes terror when fighting against everybody pretty soon, so it's not really like a big deal. But, his attacks leech enemy movement speed is something. We have achieved victory over Kislev multiple times, and so our army is much more comfortable fighting them. We stole that scroll of leeching, like I said. We also got a sword of bloodshed, which is pretty all right. And we've leveled up enough to get access to our next regiment of renown, Durkit's Squigs. Oh, and Logie Bogie's Spore Splodas, a snotling pump wagon armed with ruinous spores, splattering their enemies as they careen haphazardly into the battle lines.
Bogey is not. That's not okay.
Also, Snagla's Death Throw. We gained a lot of levels there. Using this sophisticated war machine yields fatally predictable results. Something always dies, be it the enemy or an unlucky gobbo or 10. So this is a goblin bolt thrower. This is essentially a ballista, but it's a goblin ballista. So a unit of goblin wolf archers, disheveled and mange ridden. These wolves are savage beasts all the same. Yeah, lots of regiments of renown available to us now. And I think we're going to take a second here and just heal up, obviously. We get to pull renowned and feared. So every unit we recruit in this army for the rest of the game is going to come in with 1 extra rank. We have some extra movement range. We have some lowered upkeep. If enemy heroes try to attack characters in this army, they have a 25% greater chance of becoming wounded. It's a good skill overall. And then we have 1 more skill point left over. We kind of got the most important things out of this blue line. I do think we're going to want to pick up Mob Boss probably eventually, but we got to figure out what we want to start on next. And my answer is we want to start buying magic, but in order to get our magic, we got to get our Crown of Sorcery. In addition to magic stuff, most legendary characters, or most big important story characters, have a line that opens up somewhere around level 12 or 13, where you can put in skill points for some very, very powerful skills. Things that are way above the baseline for individual skill points. We can start in on that version of that thing with Azhag here with Imbued by Madness. Held aloft and kept there by the rampant lunacy of their leader, Azhag's forces are all the stronger for his insane presence. So big upkeep production and frenzy for all Orc Boys, Biggins, and Savage Orc infantry and cavalry units. Frenzy is all of these bonuses to any unit whose leadership is still 50% or higher. Plus 10 melee attack by itself is really, really huge. So yeah, we're just going to let Azhag's madness sort of boil out to the troops. And once we fill in this box and take all of these cool skills, we're gonna unlock Darkest Nimbus, which is going to give Azhag passive regeneration and the Wind of Death spell, which is fucking sick. It is an incredibly rad spell, and I'm very eager to get to use it. So that's going to be the focus of our next couple of skill points. And then by the time we're done filling in that box, we would like to have our crown so we can go back and get the rest of our spells.
Yes. So what is your next like short-term goal here? Is it to take Kislev?
Yeah.
To go get
Kislev,
the crown?
Kislev and the crown are the two next things. On the way to the crown, I want to get more. I want to go back and get some more of the upgraded units that we're learning to build. So my thought is, let's go take Kislev, because it is right there. And then walk back to the friendly territory where we have the big spider building, get a big spider or two, and then take that army to go claim our crown.
Okay.
So Snide Tifraba is on the way to Smash 'em Faster, which will replace his plus 16 leadership on the unit ability with plus 16 leadership and also 24 melee attack. So what can he grab on the way there?
Good.
Big weapon strength bonus, 20% extra damage effectively, 15% extra health, an improvement in the size and leadership effect of his aura, or bonus melee defense. Honestly, his melee defense is really good. I kind of think maybe just like a chunk more HP is the way to go. His defenses are so good that each one of these points of HP stretches a lot farther than they would on a lesser unit, you know? And then he is definitely getting that sort of bloodshed that we found in the battle. That is him for sure.
Yeah.
He can have the Crown of Command. The ability to bolster somebody. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, so we're not allowed to move. We spent all of our movement entering Vitevo. Oh, interesting. Vitevo has a level 3 troll building in it. Well, I mean, can't go wrong with more money-making structures. Yeah, and then like I said, we're going to spend all that money that we just grabbed, so more money, more growth. We're saving up. We're not spending excess population until we can get Khazad-Urkulaz all the way up here, so that's going to be a little while. I don't think I want to spend any more money in this province at the moment. Over here, we can push for improved siege weapons. I think that's the biggest and most important move to be made. And then down in Grom Peak, we're building up our troll building, and eventually it will enable us to access rogue idols. But again, we got to get our settlement building to level 5 first. We are not moving the Lord who is garrisoned there, and so, yeah, things are looking pretty fucking bad for Kislev at this moment. Kislev is down to 2 settlements and effectively no armies. They're at war with the Challengers of Khorne and Clan Moulder. Yeah, Clan Moulder's going to finish it off, I have to imagine. You asked before, was Clan Moulder at war with anybody else? I don't know if they were before, but they are now. There is a dwarf faction called the Masters of Innovation and a Nordic faction as well that are at their back. But they have defensive alliances with some chaos factions. Their situation's probably complicated up north of us.
Okay.
It was a good battle. It was slow. I fight real slow. That's one thing that's definitely the case. I pause a lot. I reorient and reorder.
I think that's good.
She's coming to us with a peace treaty request, which we are going to turn down because we're at the very least going to go take this other settlement of theirs, the one near Kislev.
Right. I have a question for you about the battle thing where you can pause and unpause it. Is there a button to pause or unpause it, or is it just clicking?
Yeah, there's a keyboard shortcut for it. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. In most games, most possible games, it's space, but in Warhammer, it specifically is not space. Because space is the button that brings up the bars over everybody's heads, so you can see everybody's quick stats all at once. I usually just click the pause button, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but probably P or Control P would be my guess. I don't know if you're asking about for your Pharaoh game. Look it up in the key bindings menu.
I couldn't find the key bindings.
Well, that I can't help with.
Yeah, that's a me problem. Okay.
Uh-oh. What is this? Whoa. What? Oh, we've unlocked the next legendary quest. As Azhag's mob picks over the corpse-strewn scene of their latest victory, his shaman suddenly goes rigid, his eyes bulging and glassy as he enters another trance. In a dreamy voice, he says that Gork and Mork are pleased that Azhag has stopped mucking about and got stuck into the fighting. They'll overlook his wearing of the Humi Necromancer's crown, for now. The shaman declares that Azhag just needs one final bloodbath, one more bout of carnage, and the Great Green will enter his armor and make it properly hard. Down in Bretonia, those stupid Humies prance about on their ponies on the burial mound of Grudznik. No wonder the gods ain't happy. That's hallowed ground. Go give him a big slap. So if we do this, we'll unlock Azhag's hard armor, which gives him another turn off his recovery time, 15% physical resistance, 15% all damage resistance. Yeah, just big toughness. So big and so tough. And also 5,000 gold for the treasury. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So, I am wondering, maybe I'm being silly about this, because it's not like Kislev's likely to go anywhere. Maybe we should just run back to Karak Ungor right now and get our spiders. Because we can try to pull spiders through the global requisitions system here, but of course, because they are a big high-tech unit, it's going to take forever and it's going to cost $1 million. And if we're going to take Kislev, technically the right way to take Kislev is to declare war on this faction and then jump the army from behind. This is the only army that faction has, and then walk over to Kislev while they don't have any military, right?
Okay.
And I'm trying to get to Igorov. Yeah, what we need is like 3 or 4 turns where I can just do nothing. And I'm trying to figure out if we're in that place right now. So we do have access to trolls. In addition to our basic trolls, the trolls that we have been enjoying all this time, this settlement gives us access to river trolls, which have many of the same abilities. They are aquatic, which means that they're not slowed by like water. Shallow water and stuff on the battlefield can be a movement hazard. They also have this overwhelming odor. All enemies within 35 meters of them take an attack penalty because of how stinky they are. So that's a sort of a defensive trick for your army, as well as just having better combat stats a little bit.
That reminds me of
Or we can recruit stone trolls. Stone trolls are fucking So yeah, let me pin the stats for normal trolls. Stone trolls have bigger weapons, much more armor, basically just real fucking tough, you know? In addition, we can recruit a proper giant. Armor-piercing anti-infantry causes terror like a real actual giant. Look at that, 728 weapon strength. The kind of thing that just walks over to a dragon and picks it up and slams it on the ground. They have this wall breaker trait that makes it not only are these guys like fit for siege damage, they're actually particularly good at it. Just walk over and push a wall over. A giant can be worth a lot in combat. I don't know, Amabel. Maybe we should just right here, like, fire these wolf riders. They did a good job. We'll make use of them later. Fire these wolf riders. Start recruiting a giant in their place, and then maybe also some other trolls or something. And once we have that stuff, just go for it. The boar boys have 70 speed. Trolls have like 50 something. I'm wondering if I want to keep these units of normal boar boys around, or if they would be better off being replaced by trolls. They do have frenzy. I suppose that's worth remembering. The frenzy's kind of nice.
It's my least favorite Hitchcock, but all right.
This is what you're contributing? This is how this goes?
I contributed a lot this time. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Look, what I'm here for is to harass you.
Yep. All right, you're doing a great job.
Ask questions.
Sure.
Ask questions, which I've done. Share historical anecdotes. And then make dumb jokes.
The thing is,
I've done all of those. I've fulfilled the brief.
I really want Big Spider.
I understood the assignment.
Okay, here's the plan. We're going to spend one more turn sitting still in Vitevo, allowing my units to heal. Okay?
Okay.
While I'm doing that, I'm going to... Can I recruit a unit of big uns in... No, it would be a 2-turn recruit. Okay, never mind. While I'm doing that, I'm going to, I guess, replace the Moon Howlers with just, like, some trolls. The Moon Howlers are not good. It's the core problem with these guys. We'll get a unit of River Trolls in here just to be, like, a real 20th unit. We're going to heal up for one more turn, finish recruiting. Most people will be pretty healthy then. Next turn, we backstab Grievous, crush his army, go to Kislev. Once we're in Kislev, we can recruit Big Spider and... man, everything is so fucking complicated. Because the thing is, we got to take Igorov, too. Somebody's got to get rid of Igorov. Where's the border? Where does my territory end here? There it is. Again, like very faint lines on very light colored terrain. Can you see that? Oh, we're going to run all the way over here. We're going to go into muster mode. We're going to get these river trolls. I'm going to take Igorov. We got to get this away from them. And then Zavastra, all the way over there, would mean finishing the province that Fort Chakova is in. Why is this province designed this way? This is a nightmare.
Sometimes that's how countries be, though.
Yeah. Go assassinate that hagwitch. Hooray! All right, our little goblin hero's leveling up. He's doing good work. Slowly but surely, learning to be an absolute nightmare for everybody. Grognok Fospike leveled up just from sitting in that settlement. What do we want to level? Yeah, ammunition and missile strength bonuses for siege units. Why not? Seems like a fine skill. Okay. Yeah, we're going to need the money from a military victory to, in order to actually afford the spiders anyway. I assume Kapusta is... I don't know what this army's doing. They're obviously in really bad shape. Amabel, sometimes the AI just sort of wanders around in baffling ways. Maybe they were trying to run for this settlement, and now that we're over here, they don't feel they can do that.
I mean, it does feel like one issue with computer AI is it feels to me like it always is trying to make what it thinks is the best decision according to its behavior each turn, like tactically,
Yes.
rather than with a strategy in mind.
Yeah, it does really struggle to string together like a coherent thought over multiple turns, for sure. And that is true broadly across strategy games, in my experience.
Didn't lose any factions that time.
Spider Boom. There is a recruitment cost reduction for Spider Rider units for the next three turns. The warm, damp weather of late has created ideal conditions in the nests. The great spider god is praised for his generosity. Gross. Here's the thing. I can be broadly pro-spider and still recognize that spiders are kind of gross. Thank you for your settlement. Azhag leveled up enough to get his wyvern. Azhag's pet wyvern is called Skull Muncha, a gift from the night goblins of the Red Eye Mountain. The wyvern was fierce, but Azhag immediately calmed the beast with one of his best glares. The two have been inseparable ever since. Skull Muncha knows what's up. But we don't get to see Skull Muncha up close, but you'll be very excited once you do see him. So in order to unlock Darkest Nimbus, we do have to take all 4 of the skills in the previous group. It's just sort of a matter of what we want to grab first. Earth-shaking orders. The ability to shout now, louder than anyone ever has before. Gives melee defense, speed, and missile damage to a bunch of your sort of basic unit types. Insane Visions increases our capacity for and recruit rank for shamans. Not Orky Enough improves our ability to intercept enemies trying to move past us via the underway. It also gives Vanguard deployment for a lot of our Orc units, including Biggins. That's interesting. There are some who whisper that the Slaughterer's wild schemes are not sufficiently Orky. Needless to say, the Crown normally lets him know so he can weed out the dissenters. Or Wild Abandon, for the man himself, 8 attack and 20 charge bonus. Now that we've got our combat mount, I think Wild Abandon is a good pull.
Okay, I do like Not Orky Enough. Maybe we'll get that one next.
Yeah, I think that's probably next. Working on your HP. Here in Igorov, we're gonna start the money-making building, of course. And then if we were to... So we could sit still here for 4 turns, recruiting Spider. But I want to be building up Kislev. Yeah, we'll keep moving for the moment. Azhag, in the meantime, probably don't change your army up too much. I should maybe have done that battle manually. We took way more damage through our melee core than I was expecting against not a very hard fight. I guess they had built up a pretty large garrison. I don't know. That felt like a lot, though. Let's, again, go ahead and pursue money-making structures. I'm not going to worry quite so much about this. And Igorov actually already has a totem pole. That's great.
You're the boss.
14%, huh? Why don't you go... Oh, right, because you performed an assassinate. You're all exhausted. Let's just go over here and gather intel. So at this point, Zavastra is their entire empire, right? Yeah, she has one settlement.
Yeah.
This is a good faction to remove from the table. I am not a big fan of having to deal with Kislevites.
Whoa.
What?
It was 101 before, now it's 102.
Yeah, that can happen.
I didn't agree to that.
I mean, you've seen new factions spawn onto the table multiple times. Grievance Bootlicka did that. Another thing that can happen is if an enemy if a player allows public order in one of their areas to fall low enough, a rebellion will be spawned, and the rebellion is a new faction.
Okay.
And the rebels can, like, theoretically, they can, take the city and then, exist and potentially even become large and a meaningful part of the game. I don't think I've ever seen it happen, but theoretically it could. To say nothing of the rogue armies, which I don't think have started. I don't know when the rogue armies show up. I don't remember how that system works. I can't believe it. Grievance is just... No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to tell you to do that. Grievance is just hanging out. He's just in Raiden camp mode. I thought he was sieging the city, but he's not. He's just standing there. Alright. We can make it back to Vitevo in a single move, which I will absolutely do in March mode. Look at the wyvern. Amabel. Are you excited for the implications of now we have a wyvern?
I am excited.
Also, speaking of implications, this string of victories we've been on, we are 97 reputation right now. We are about to WOG, and when we WOG, we're going to be encouraged to pick a faction to start some shit with, and I don't actually know who I intend to aim that at.
What you want?
Don't let this guy move. All right, I think we're hitting the point here where we want to end the episode. I wanted to get us sort of like set up for the next move. And put
I think this went very well.
Put the sharp part of the next episode as close to the front of it as possible,
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think we're backstabbing Grievance Bootlicka. We still have to actually take Zavastra as well. Like, we don't want to give Serena Katerin time to rebuild. That's fairly important. And actually, if we can wipe out Zavastra before Zarina Katerin is back on the table, that's probably ideal. I wonder if we can reach them this turn. Because my army should be, after 2 turns of friendly settlement replenishment, my army should be pretty close to full. We should be quite healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the part I always kind of struggle with. A part of the game I always kind of struggle with is like, you get this moment where, oh, Grievance Bootlicka just lost a battle. Did he actually attack McCoffin? I guess he must have, and lost badly. His army was big, but it was composed of mostly very low tier units.
This is the part you always struggle with.
Yeah, where you're starting to get access to the better units, but they take a longer time to recruit. And your main army is sort of like running roughshod over everything in the world. And it's just like, this is the moment where you want to be pushing, and you don't want to be spending 4 turns in martial mode,
Okay.
So we got to finish off Zavastra. We got to finish off the Ice Court. We can't quite reach them this turn. But I do think it behooves us to let's do that and end the episode there. That's a good sort of climactic moment. I don't expect to receive a lot of resistance. And that will even push us over into the wall, which we can start the next episode with. Oh, hey, also, Amabel, you remember how we were working on that really long technology? It finished. Construction time -1 for all settlement buildings. Construction cost down for all buildings. Now we are on Orcs Beyond Counting. In 7 turns, a 1-turn global recruitment reduction for all units. I mean, it'll help. It'll help with that problem I was talking about. Unfortunately, it takes us 7 turns to get there.
And that research tree, I mean, you don't have like a science resource that will make that go faster.
We do. So
okay.
We have a research rate.
Okay.
The orcs don't have a lot of interface with it because orcs.
Okay,
but there are some factions that do have buildings that will increase your research rate, and you know.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think our Goblin Tinkerer bench is giving us some bonus research rate. We have a little bit of interaction with it. So we are 9 turns away from having the population surplus necessary to finish off our first settlement chain. That's a big deal. It's expensive, but it's a big, important deal. We're 3 turns away from being able to push it here. I kind of think I'm just not going to spend a lot of money for a couple of turns. Yeah, let's just kind of bank up, I think, for a bit. No heroes. Aw. Your assassination attempts will probably be more effective if you do not scream the word stab as you run at your enemies. But I appreciate his enthusiasm, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Serena Katerin, and also that army completely... What the hell? Serena Katerin spawned, and also they recruited 14 units. Incredible work on their part. Just unbelievable. I can't help but notice this little tree face here is slowly getting redder and redder. Yep, they're down to negative 128 attitude toward us and falling. Oh, hey, look. It's the fucking Empire. This icon right here, this is the main Imperial faction. This is Karl Franz's faction.
Okay.
That's not great. As you can see, they don't care for me at all. I'm friends with everyone they hate. I'm killing everyone they like, and we didn't start on great ground. They would like permission to move through my territory. You know what? I see where you're coming from. Here's what I'm thinking. You would probably be willing to pay me more than that, right? Demand payment. Wait, sorry, the button I want is make this even. Yeah. For 755 gold, I'd do it. Okay, congratulations. We're still going to eat them. But I did manage to just get 700 gold from them for nothing, effectively. Alright, if we enter a military alliance with a faction, we'll get some bonuses or whatever. So all of a sudden, this became more complicated because Zarina Katerin is a fucking cheater. All of a sudden, this army has 15 units in it? Really?
Well, 2 of them are people.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Varag. Can you stab that lady?
Let's get stabby.
The answer is yes. All right. Well, now there's only one people.
Orcs will.
Congratulations, Varag Pigkissa. So I thought we were going to just knock this out real fast and be like, hey, look, they're done. Now we have to fight a real battle against Sarina Katarina again. However, it should be easier than the last one. Horse archers and dervishes. And out of curiosity, let me just see here. When we mouse over it, does it show... It doesn't show the balance of power bar. I mean, we're going to do it, so let's roll up here. It calls it a Pyrrhic victory, but it's a Pyrrhic auto-resolvable victory with no losses. Do you mind? Is it okay with you if I just take this?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
Let's be fucking done with this faction. I mean, that's not so Pyrrhic. That's fine.
You lost like 600 people.
Yeah, but, you know, what does it really mean? Right? Unlocking some more regiments of renown as we continue to creep upward in level. Starting to get into the better unit types here. Swamp things. Nesting within the murkiest, smelliest swamps. The most fetid of river trolls. Alright, the Ice Court is properly defeated. We did it, Amabel. We also secured for ourselves a new province. Hooray! I also did not mean to give you that order. What are you doing? Get back inside the settlement. Alright, Azhag is taken. Not orky enough, and actually I leveled up again. So we're going to grab Earth-Shaking Orders. All the things that actually affect combat. Zavastra has, okay, a fighting pit. I'm not opposed to that. So since Zavastra is sitting all the way out here, it's so close to so much other like hostile stuff. I think what we're going to do here is construct a defensive structure. So we talk about this real quick. The main settlement, the province capital of every province is, you know, it tends to be a settlement that can go up to tier 5, right? It's got these sort of special rules. These smaller settlements that can go up to level 3, minor settlements, do not have walls or proper defenses. That's a big difference between them. Major settlements always have the crenellations. They always have real defenses, and smaller settlements don't. However, there is a defensive building you can build that opens up at level 2 and then can be upgraded to level 3 that lets you apply real defenses. There's still unwalled settlement battles, but it gives you access to the supplies and towers system in that settlement. Without this, attacks on the settlement are just resolved as like field battles, you know, basically.
Okay.
So I'm going to build proper defensive structures in Zavastra. We're gonna try to make Zavastra a real defensible thing, something that's not easy for everybody else to just run in and grab. And I'm even going to go so far as to spend money in population, pushing Zavastra up to level 3. We're going to make it a place where we can recruit Black Orcs and also proper defenses, and, you know, we're going to do our level best to hold on to this. Even though it's in a place that's going to make that tricky. So let's grab this and also some bonus damage, and next level up we'll be able to get Smash 'em faster, which is a huge buff. It is a 90-second cooldown for 30 seconds of plus 24 melee attack. So he can buff our own units up continuously. And then now that we've done this, the plan is to fall back to Kislev, conquer it, do our new hot recruitment in Kislev. I'm not going to call to Wong right this second. We'll talk about that next time.
Okay.
I do not have any idea who we would target with that call. One thing that is worth remembering is that you get a greater reward from targeting units that are higher up on the power rankings, but we're not really at this point close to any such forces or anything. So I don't really have a good sense of what we want to do with that.
Okay.
It is entirely possible that somebody big will declare war on us, and we will use the WOG as a way to survive the war, and we'll just go after their capital.
That makes sense.
But yeah, in Kislev, we'll try to take a second to sort of like rebuild our army. Okay, happy to see that big Imperial army leaving Kappelberg. I really didn't want to have to deal with that. And yeah, we'll try to figure out what we want Azhag's army to look like in the longer term. Because so far we've just been holding on to a lot of the units we started with because they were the units we started with, right?
Yeah.
The Nemesis crown was sealed away, torn from the cold, dead hands of its previous bearer, Dagobert Helberg of Visseland and Nuln. The Nemesis crown's corruption seeps out in every direction. Proclaimed too dangerous to ever be put to use, it has been cast away instead, sealed beneath countless protections, so that its wickedness may never reappear. Okay, a whole game mechanic. I have no idea anything about it. Stuff happened, then other stuff happened. Maybe it's gone now? We'll see. The scheme of doom was performed. A special warlock engineer has been summoned. So, the Skaven have all these different schemes. The scheme of doom spawns, if I remember correctly, a special map agent who only has... He has an ability to run to a settlement and damage and de-level every building in that settlement. He basically just like sparks a big earthquake. So they warn you when a clan near you spawns one of those, but this is not a thing we have to worry about. They're not coming for us. Oh, the main dwarven faction of Karaza Karak has been obliterated. We also encountered the Ironclaw orcs, who are presumably the ones who did that. Indeed, look at that.
Hey, too scared to face me proper.
The Ironclaw orcs under command of Gorbad Ironclaw. Cool. They consider us a little bit of a strategic threat, and they don't love the vampire stuff that we're into. Out of curiosity, what would it take for me to buy my way into a non-aggression pact here? 11,000 gold! Nah, I'm good. We're good. They're far enough away. It's probably not a problem. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Amabel.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of
What
money.
do they think they're? What do they think they're doing? Okay, so we did it. It took somewhat more doing than I thought it was going to, but we have finally eliminated the ice court from the earth, and it kind of seems like the whole eastern side of the map is falling to the greenskins, which is probably mostly pretty good news for us for a while. After a certain point, you know, that stuff matters less. At a certain point, it's just like everybody's in everybody else's way and somebody's got to go. But for now, this is probably pretty good news for us. So, with that, with a great big pile of gold in our coffers, a WOG in our back pocket ready to be called at a moment's notice, a big healthy army, and a bunch of tiny weakened enemies scattered around us, that's where we're going to call it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Next time, I think we're claiming the legendary city of Kislev. We're pursuing some of our legendary quests. There's going to be cool stuff. Amabel, how excited are you for all the cool legendary stuff?
I am so excited.
You sound so excited.
Woo!
So come back next time for that, and we'll see you then.